From the F3 Nation podcast studios.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
This is the COT podcast, connecting the packs of F3 Nation through fitness, fellowship, and faith.
Andrew Maggio, 35, Wirebiter.
Mike Kirkos, 35, Saganaki.
Huckleberry, 40, Rep Sleepy.
Peter Ranky, 63, Bambi.
COT podcast starts right now.
Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the COT podcast. I know you clearly that was Hello Kitty and Rapido, their intro, and clearly it's not Hello Kitty and Rapido. Just to give you a little backstory on the Circle of Trust podcast, I think it took over this head of culture position. I think on my docket was to revive this COT podcast, but I'll be honest with you, following the shoes of some greats and some giants has not been easy. And but I think we're going to get there. We're going to get there, and we're going to bring the Circle of Trust podcast back. And first co-host of this is a Flea. And Flea, want to introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from and what you got.
Yeah, well, so my story, really, my F3 story. Yeah, so hospital name Keith Gator, I'm 43, and as those of you who are listening can see, I'm British and a British accent. That's because I do live in Leeds in the UK, and I'm involved with F3 UK since September 2024. So now it's about 9 months almost since the first beatdown. I'm now at over Centurion at level now for number of postings, which have gone pretty quick. I was brought into the family, shall we say, through a Facebook post. Actually, my saw a Facebook post advertising this free outdoor boot camp that was starting nearby, and I was looking for something to get into in terms of regular fitness. I was much bigger than I was now, much less fit, and really suffering that sad clown syndrome that we talk about. So yeah, I felt it was a good opportunity to get out there and at least meet a few people similar-minded, might be similar aspirations to me in terms of fitness. So yeah, I just turned up and there was just one guy there. There was the guy leading a beatdown, but he was there with a guest Q he'd invited up from London. But yeah, it was yeah. My F3 name came about due to me being a bass player and having played bass guitar semi-pro for many years, and I was rattling off some inspirational bass guitarists during the naming ceremony, and Flea was one of them. That one stuck. It could have quite easily been Sting. It could have been
great name.
It could have been Pastorius. It could have been one of several, but Flea seemed to stick pretty well.
I love it. I'm Huckleberry. I've been around coming up on my 11th year. June 2014 was when I got named. I think a lot of guys know my story. I took a 5-year break. F3, I moved to Boise in 2016. It wasn't here. I just I'll be honest with you, I didn't think I'd ever see it again. I was running with kids. A kid took his jacket off. There was an F3 symbol. And I saw that symbol and I grabbed his hand and said, I need you to take me to your father. Right now. End up talking to his mom, and I guess the rest is history. And here I am, now the head of culture, 4 years later, and it's been a blast. And I can't imagine a world without F3 anymore. This is absolutely just the best thing, the best army of great guys ever invented in the world. So, did you go to workout this morning?
I'm just coming back to what you said there. You can't imagine a world without it now. For me, it's getting to that point now where I actually look forward to getting up and doing my postings every morning. But where possible, I do travel with work, so that is a little bit difficult to keep and maintain that discipline. But when I'm at home, when I'm working from home, and I've got the ability to post locally at an AO, then I will. But yeah, in answer to your question, yes, I did post this morning. I was actually queuing this morning at the AO where I started, which is the factory in Leeds. It was a bit of an emergency phone call last night when the guy who was scheduled to queue hurt his ankle, couldn't turn up, and we had to do a quick ring round, see who was planning on going and who could pull something together pretty quickly. So I said, I'll do it anyway. I already had a beat down planned from yesterday morning for when I queued at my own AO and wear my OQ. So I did pretty much the same workout 2 days on the trot. So those guys who attended both had a double treat of some sandbags and sprints with sandbags this morning. So
Nice.
yeah.
Went to the tower this morning, and one of my shield lock guys, Moab. I got to describe Moab real quick. He's not the tallest, but what he makes, and he's so wide. He's a massive, and his beard is as big as mine. And I know a lot of you guys listening aren't seeing my beard if you're looking on YouTube, but his is completely solid black, and he's just a beast. He's just a big, strong ox, and he went heavy this morning, sandbags all around the park, and that was it. So my back is feeling it for sure. But and then we have our cafeteria. We have a cafeteria where we combine with another AO at a Starbucks, and I will attest it may be one of the top 10 cafeterias that F3 has for sure. Did you know? Did you see what over the weekend we posted a couple things on the socials? Did you happen to see that where F3 spends $10 million a year on coffee?
Well,
I think we drink 500,000 gallons collectively. Some guys in Omaha put those numbers together, and it blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. So we got to figure out how to capitalize on that for sure.
There's got to be some deal in there somewhere, hasn't there, with that amount to spend for sure. I must say, just to touch on cafeteria, that's another difference. I mean, looking at the sort of the US, North America do versus what we're doing in the UK, we don't have that luxury of having readily available coffee shops nearby to where we do postings. So we generally bring a flask of coffee. The queue will bring a flask of coffee to enjoy after we've done the circle of trust. We'll then have a cafeteria at the venue. I think you guys call it parking lot coffee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, similar principle. We'll have it there, and it saves just all jumping in cars and going off to drive and find the nearest Starbucks or equivalent in the UK. So
we will fight
easier.
Over which better parking lot coffee or coffee on site or coffee at, and because we do lose guys, you will lose guys if you drive away because sometimes you've got to roll.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, news of the nation. We'll get to that. Kind of get everybody caught up with some of the things going on. I think everybody got to see the Art of Manliness podcast or hear the Art of Manliness podcast with Dark Helmet. I can tell you from my perspective, my email inbox lit up. Tons of emails, tons of guys finding F3 through that podcast, EHing, FNGs coming through. I yesterday got an email from a guy said it was a motorcycle club initially, and then throughout the conversation he changed that word to a biker gang, and he just said, I want to bring F3 to my biker gang, and out there in Tombstone, Arizona. And I was like, let's do it. Next thing I know, we're switching numbers, and I'm gonna go visit him. He's coming up here to Spokane and gonna stop through, and that's the power of F3.
That would be an amazing beatdown with those guys.
I feel like I have a look to fit in with them, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see.
There must be some F3 leather jackets or something going on. They must be able to get something like that.
That would be cool to have the first F3 biker gang. Like just seeing big old F3 on we'll get Malco to print out some leather jackets on mud gear. That would be amazing. This past weekend out in Omaha, I still got my Omaha shirt on. Thank you guys. The board of directors and the advisory board for F3 met up and had one of their annual meetings, and we could not have been treated better. F3 Omaha were out. Amazing host. I'm a young man named Wait Time out there. He happens to be the chairman of the board for F3, so I got to kiss his butt a little bit, But truly, what an amazing dude. What an amazing group they have out there. I encourage everyone to go downrange and visit F3 Omaha. They are a special group full of love, for sure. And that's all we saw. I got a couple more stories coming out of that here in a minute. Real quick, we got a Freedom Ops event June 20th through 22nd out in Seattle. If you want more information about Freedom Ops, make sure to check out freedomops.fit. That's freedom-ops.fit.
I did that actually. This Freedom Ops. I said that there is something that's now creeping into the UK. I say creeping in. The guys did have one. I think it was a year or two ago before I really got involved. But there is one scheduled for later this year in November. So that I've seen it and I'm like, ooh, that sounds interesting. But I need to do a bit more reading on it. So I will be following up on it and then looking at what's involved.
I have gone under the logs, what we call it, going under the log 3 times, and I cannot recommend a better event. It is such a powerful, impactful what it makes you go through, what it makes you, how close it brings to your brothers. There's really nothing like it in my experience. I'm sure somebody's out there going to argue with me, but in the F3 context, is a really cool event, and highly recommend go and check that out. Check out Seattle, June 20 to 22nd. As a matter of fact, one of the ones I did was in Seattle, and I highly recommend that. When those birds start singing at 5 a.m., it's just, we can make it. Moving on, June is Men's Mental Health Month. You guys do anything over there to just kind of recognize that?
We don't have it as a month as such, but that, I must say there has been a real big increase in the focus on mental health, both for men and for women in general. We now see a lot of workplaces really promoting mental health, having well-being cafes, well-being breaks, promoting well-being schemes, or like these corporate schemes that you can get access to certain healthcare provisions and mental well-being provisions. So there's been a real increase in that now. As I say, corporations are really embracing that, how important mental health is for the employee in order to be fit for work and to be able to be mentally fit for work. Because an employee suffering from presenteeism, where they're turning up and not really adding value, doesn't serve the company any good to have that situation too. Yeah, as I said, there's been real focus on it. There's also been growth over the last few years of organizations that have popped up around mental health. One that I will name drop is one called Andy's Man Club, and that is one that was set up on the back of a guy who committed suicide, and his family set up this group to encourage men to get together and talk. So very similar to what we offer from F3 in terms of that whole circle of trust and the fellowship point. The clubs now have gone from one venue with a couple of guys turning up. I checked just before joining the call because I really wanted to talk about it. They now have 270 groups just in the UK, with over 5,800 weekly attendees of guys getting together, sitting in a room and talking. And again, men only, sitting around talking about what their troubles are and what their feelings are.
And that's Andy's, what was it called?
Andy's Man Club. We can maybe put the link on if we can do that on the show or the show notes or something. I think it's really good.
Put it down below.
Yeah,
we'll put it down below.
Yeah, and again, it's a very similar vision, a very similar set of values to what F3 has. So I'm jumping forward a little bit now to the UK side of things, but if we can be quite fluid with how we structure it. But yeah, we've actually got a new AO opening up tomorrow morning in Leeds.
What's it called?
Yeah, this is the Stocks, and the Stocks is the name for the wooden piece of equipment where you used to have your hands locked up with your head, which is where you can't get out, and that's where they threw rotten vegetables at you in Middle Ages and medieval times. So the Stocks is this to punish you, right? So some form of punishment. So you got locked up in the Stocks, and there was this set of stocks at this local market in this area of Leeds, and that was the old market many years ago. It's all got demolished many years ago, but that area is now known as the Stocks. And we've managed to identify a park nearby there that we're going to use, and we're kicking off there tomorrow. I've been asked to queue that one, so I've got 3 queues on the bounce, which is fun. So I'm going to vary that one up a bit. The good news with this one is, again, new area of the town, new area of the city, and we've managed to already get about 5 or 6 FNGs hard committing to coming tomorrow morning, which is great. And the AOQ who's been nominated to look after that AO is actually linked up with Andy's Man Club in the area. Managed to make an informal discussion, and some of those guys are actually coming tomorrow. So we're going to see, like, is there something we can do here together? Can we offer support to each other's organizations? Like, bring your guys out for workouts, and if some of our guys want to join and support what you're doing, let's work together. It's all in the common good of getting guys together, having safe spaces, and being able to talk and open up. So
going back to F3 Omaha, one of the things that stood out to me out there is I was listening to a guy named Da Vinci, and I might talk about him a lot. When I go to a workout, I prepare for the weather, I prepare for the conditions, and I wear gloves. And the one thing he highlighted that I probably don't do is I never prepare for Circle of Trust. Like I live a life, not perfect. I need to know coming into that workout what I need to ask guys help for, and I just don't do it. I just, so this past week I've actively come in and my son Turducken is over in Frankfurt, Germany right now for the next 3.5 weeks. He landed this morning about 3 a.m. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna struggle with that probably the next 3.5 weeks. And I was able to unload that to the guys. And normally I'm not sure if I would have just, I know people have problems and things out there, and I don't know if that's a big one. So I was maybe I'd hesitate, maybe I wouldn't share. But yeah, I need to come to the workout prepared for Circle of Trust just as much as I'm prepared for the workout. And that's going to be my growth. That's going to be my growth for the next month or two to get good at that. And I love hearing Andy's man club, and maybe you guys you've already flexed those skills, and maybe that'll bring in. I know in Omaha, those guys share tremendously, and they lean on each other so much. And there's just that love, and hopefully we can get to where they are for sure.
Yeah, and again, if you look at our AO maturity, we've only been running 8 months, and we're now at about 30 packs who have been in and through Winning Edge and gone through at that AO. So in terms of the growth curve and where we're in the getting right phase. We're in the fitness now, the regular attendees. That whole sort of opening up is sort of the next stage. I think we're getting to it now. We're having now our regular 30-30 sessions, so 30 minutes beat down, 30 minutes seated circle of trust on a discussion topic. So we're doing that now regularly monthly. We're having open discussions about that. So, we're picking a different topic each time. The last one on Saturday, we actually had a guy do his VQ, and he did the 30-30 discussion as well. So he came in, he did the workout, and then immediately went into facilitating the discussion around masculinity.
Yeah.
So again, that was fantastic. For me, that was like, he brought him in, and I was key when he came up and turned up as an FNG to see him and doing next generation do it. It's fantastic. And before that we talked about grief. The one before that was addiction. So again, some nice topics, not nice topics, but some rich topics for a lot of people can add their experiences, and lots of people want to input to it, and that's a good forum to having that open and frank discussions.
Yeah, I love that. Moving on a little bit, I just want to give a couple shout outs to some guys on Twitter and on the socials, and doing some things on Slack. The mental health, if you haven't got on Twitter, Drop Thrill out there's doing an amazing job highlighting that awareness. I think you can find it on F3 mental health. I think I should look that up. A Mud Pie out there on Slack. He's doing a monthly suicide awareness class. Highly recommend everyone check that out. He's doing a great job and really grinding through it. And it's really, that's his purpose. And it's really fun to rally around guys who know their purpose and they're out there. Flea, I gotta say, I know you don't know this, and I'm just gonna throw it at you. Bullseye. There's a guy named Bullseye out in Omaha who is coming up on his year, and Bullseye is the kind of guy that and when you see him, you know what he's working on. He's clearly he's overweight, and so you can see what his problems are. I got a buddy, Power Clean, who talks about you can see what some guys are working on, but most guys you can't see what they're working on. This guy you can see. It makes it a little bit easier. But he's lost like 160 pounds, and he's killing it. He's coming on his year anniversary, and in that year, he's had 333 posts in his first year. I don't know how that's possible. Like, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. I encourage you to go on X, check out his story. He did a great job telling everybody about it. And just want to give a special shout out to Bartman out there on Twitter, always keeping us up to date on the socials. And then I appreciate you. But Flea, all right, for us guys over here, we barely know how F3 got to us. F3 was a gift. It was given to all of us. Showed up to us for free, and here it is. How did it get? What's going on over in the UK? Just tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, as I say, to me, it's still relatively new. I mean, you've talked about your over a dozen years experience now, and in the organisation since you started. But for me, as I said, only having eight or 9 months, I'm relying on some history and some war stories about how things started. Listen to some podcasts that were done. Guys like Safari, who did one of the podcasts recently, told the story about how he brought F3 to the UK. And then we've got some of the Nantans. Then I think Styx also did a podcast as well, explaining about he helped to get things up and running around the London area. So it was just really the growth area for us was the southeast in London, and certain AOs started popping up following it coming over from the US. And then I think there was a big there was a big push on things, and I think it was on a podcast, and I don't want to misquote it, so I won't say the name, but there was a podcast that I can't remember which one it was. Yeah, I think it was The Art of Manliness. I think it was, but like an earlier version of one, and it came out, and that's when our Nantan in the Yorkshire region, which includes Leeds, a guy called Sage, he heard this and he wanted to improve his fitness and his personal development and his leadership skills. So he thought, oh, that sounds fantastic. I'll go and join the guys in London, see what it's about, learn about it, and then bring it up to the north into Leeds. And that was his story in 2024. I won't go too much into it because he's a guest that I would love to get on at some point because he's a fantastic story, and he's doing a great job as Nantan because we're now up to 3 as of tomorrow in the Leeds region, which within 8 months is pretty quick. And we had on Saturday a guy literally just turn up while we were just starting the BD, saying, I just heard this podcast, The Art of Manliness. I just heard this guy talking about F3. I just went on the website, f3near.me, and saw where the nearest one was, and I came along. And this guy lives an hour away.
That just gave me chills.
So he's just got in his car, he came up, he joined us, and now he wants to set one up in the south part of Yorkshire. So it's about an hour away from where we are. So now, potentially by the end of the month, we could be up to 4, which within 9 months will be superb. So
10 years.
Things are popping up. Yeah, things are popping up really quick. So now in the UK, we've got 4 regions. So we've got the southeast, which includes London and a couple of satellite regions in there, and then we've got the Midlands, which includes Birmingham, and there's 3 AOs in that one. We've got Yorkshire with 3 AOs as of tomorrow, and then we've got the northeast, which at the moment is only 1 AO, but those guys are growing really quick, and Westy and the guys in the north are really putting the effort in up there. So it's growing like this, but I think there's some momentum behind it now, and I think with some publicity and maybe some collaborations and awareness with other organizations and corporations, I think we'll get that interest level up and that curiosity. But when you explain to people it's free, and it's always on, and it's what? There's no catch. Is there a catch? Is there a catch?
You're gonna buy lots of gear. Your closet's
you buy gear, yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have to buy all new clothes because you're skinnier.
Yeah, I've had that problem as well. I've lost quite a lot of weight since I started too, so I'm a few clothes sizes down.
And back up a little bit. So I told you there was a delay in then getting this podcast back up and running. And one of the things that we did was a first draft of Flea and I sat and probably talked for about an hour and a half and talked about through his transformational project. And I swear you are skinnier now than you were April 8th, which is, 2 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months ago. Yeah, maybe. I've plateaued a bit, I must admit, in terms of my weight. But I like to feel that's because I'm gaining muscle mass. But I think it's just because my diet's got a little bit less strict than it was over the last 6 months. But yeah, so now since I started in F3, I've lost in stone. It's about 5.5 stone. So it's about 70 pounds since I started on my F3 journey.
I was hoping you'd just say stone and never let us know. I'd have to Google that later.
Well, I'm actually a kilos guy, but I thought I'd go with the imperial just to make you feel a little bit more at home.
I appreciate that. And you're a tall guy, right? You're
I'm 6'2". Yeah, 6'2".
Okay. And you big fellas got to eat. I'm 6 foot. I think I'm right there at the line. But once you get above that 6 feet, man, there's just like an engine that you just we gotta eat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially when you're hauling 40, 45 pound sandbags around with you in the mornings. Yeah.
And so 2 months ago, like I said, Flea and I sat down and talked about his transformational journey. Of I don't know. You tell it. It's your story. You tell
it. Yeah, I mean, let's go back to when I was much younger, shall we? I always was quite happy eating. Let's put it that way. Never too worried about the exercise side of things. Always happy eating. But so growing up and. Food was never an issue. It was always available. I was always encouraged to finish what was on the plate. Always offered dessert. It was readily there.
Now, have you ever been to the South in the United States?
No, in fact, I've only been to the States once, and that was to Chicago last October. I've not been to the South yet.
The South. That is
I know.
The South.
I know it's not. No.
So there's a couple different things. At home, you clean your plate. Like you respectful, you clean it up. When you go to a guest house, you always leave a little bit because you let the guest know that you had enough. and if you clean it, they think you're still hungry. So
And then they come back
I
with
don't know
more.
how it is. Yeah, they're like, you got to eat more, and they're like, oh no, I was just trying to clean my plate. But I don't know if that is over in the UK, if that's the same.
No, it's just you just eat. You just eat what's there. But but my problem was it was bad eating the wrong things and eating too much of it, and then snacking in between. You know, it's the typical recipe of not having calorie control or not having awareness of what you're eating. So yeah, I started that again. University, started getting on the beers, discovering what alcohol is, and then you have a late night kebab to offset the alcohol, and etc. And then your exercise declines, and that was just that up and down weight around, hovering around 20 stones. What's that, about 290, 300 pounds? That's so around that for the best part of my adult life, and then got to 2019, and then I was on holiday with the wife, and we talked about me. I go, what exercise are you going to do? And I said, right, fine, I'll sign up for a gym. And I found a local gym, and they were doing a deal where you pay 20 British pounds. No, it was, what was it? It was about 200 British pounds. So what's that? About $240, something like that, $250 ish. And if you pay that, if you lose 20 pounds in weight, you get 80% of it back. So I thought, okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah. So did that for a couple of rounds, and I lost 40, 45 pounds, something like that. But I started to understand what fitness was, and I started getting muscle builds. I learned how to lift and do barbells properly, and really started getting into it. And then it got to March 2020. I was really in my groove. I was about 20 pounds heavier than I am now. And then COVID hit, and everywhere closed, including gyms, outdoor everything. And I just felt, well, I can't go to the gym, therefore I can't exercise. And I've never liked running. I hate running. I still hate running now. Like, if it's a running BD, I'll be gritting my teeth and crying about, I'll do it, but I do not actively want to go out and run. So that was really the only form of exercise you could do. Even then, it was restricted by the government on how often you could go out and where you could run. It was really controlled. So I lost my fitness. I started eating much again, and because you're at home all the time, drinking wine in the evening, it's just piled the weight back on. And then got to 2020. Where are we now? 25. So yeah, 2024, mid 24. I think it was the same discussion with the when I was on holiday about what are you going to do for fitness this year. So I was like, okay, I'll find another gym or a boot camp or something. And then this just popped up on Facebook that she saw. He said, well, wait.
So your wife saw it on Facebook?
Yeah, she saw it. Yeah, I take no credit for finding it. It was.
That's a common story. That is a very common story.
Exactly. So we, so at that point, she's like, well, contact the guy, and I just contacted Sage and just turned up. And there we go. So that was September last year. So 140 beat downs later, now AOQ at one AO in Leeds, helping set another one up. In fact, yeah, so I set this one up. I set the mansion up where I am AOQ, and I'm helping another guy to set the stocks up, which we're starting tomorrow. So sort of helping to roll out what I've learned already. So that whole whetstone analogy of passing on and helping to hone the next guy, it's been a perfect example of that. It's that whole leading right, getting into leaving right, passing it on, and making sure the next generation is ready to roll it out. So we're at that point now. So yeah, a bit of a very fast 8 months and a very fast acceleration through the quadrants. But yeah, I feel I'm on top of it in terms of fitness wise. I'm regularly posting 4 or 5 times a week, queuing less now than I was. I was doing 2 or 3 because of the maturity of the AOs. But now I'm quite happily just sit back and do maybe 1 or 2 a fortnight across 2 AOs and what will become 3. So we're now actively pushing the last of the guys to get through their VQs. So then we can enjoy that fruitful situation where it's fully rotating, and there's not the burden on one person to do it all the time, which there was for Sage when it started. I was looking at the logs back to September, and he must have done 15 in a row, just to support getting it up and going. At that point, then I went in, did my VQ, and then the guy did his VQ, and then we're off, and then that's it.
How many beatdowns did you do before you queued? Before you did the VQ?
Well, I think I must have been about 10 or 12, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
That seems about right. Yeah,
I think, but
for
for
me.
content-wise, I think I could have done it earlier. But I think for me, it was the confidence to have. It was the confidence in leading the other guys. That was the bigger concern, not the content of the BD and which exercises to do. I knew all the exercises. It was the commands. It was the cadence accounting. It was the intro. It was the name-a-rama. It was the word of the day. It was all of these things, that the logistics around the exercises, that was the bigger learning curve.
I love a good VQ because they screw that stuff up, and I'm always looking like, man, I kind of like that idea of saying something a little different, or it just creates that little change. Because eventually, after about 30 times, they sound like the rest of us. It just sounds. But that VQ, man, they're gonna throw a little something special in there, and you don't know where it's gonna come from. And I get excited.
Yeah. I mean, like I won't name names, but
why not?
No, it's not fair, because we're encouraging the positive.
We'll say,
positive development and the feedback.
Like Dark Helmet. Let's just say Dark Helmet. Anytime we have a bad example, we'll say Dark Helmet.
Someone, for example, missed out the disclaimer at the beginning of the workout.
Yeah.
Which is an AOQ. You're there. It's like I could pull them up on it straight away, but I was looking around. It's like, but these are all guys who have signed the waiver forms, who are here pretty much all the time. Yeah, they know the deal. They signed the waivers. We're okay. If it was FNGs and it was a VQ, which has also happened, it'd be like, no, this disclaimer has to be played. We have to put the audio disclaimer on. We have to get the waiver form done first, etc.
That's funny. I got a story for you. I was at a VQ, and I won't name names either. I get why you're not saying it now. Dark Helmet was there, and he was standing beside me. And know that the Q is deaf. And he took his, he's got this device back there, and he took it off for the workout. And so he's pretty much deaf. Well, it's a VQ, so he kept kind of missing some things. And there was a guy in the circle trying to correct him. And he kept saying it, and the kid in the VQ just kept going. And I was like, I think he's ignoring you. You should say it louder. And it was probably inappropriate at the time, but it was very funny that this guy was trying to, correct a deaf guy. He didn't know he was deaf. He just didn't know. And finally we had to pull the guy aside. It's like, hey, he can't hear you. He's out there queuing for his first time. It's all good. It's all good. But that was a funny story, I think.
Yeah. For me, if it's not life or death, it can wait until the end for the feedback session of the Circle of Trust, and that's what it's designed for.
AAR at the end. Is that what you call it?
What's the acronym? I'm not familiar with the
After Action Review.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we just call that a feedback section of the Circle of Trust. Nice. So we will do it as part of the regular bits. We'll do the Cantorama, we'll do the Name-a-rama, we'll do the announcements, we'll do the word of the day, and then we will ask for positive and improvement feedback on the queue. And as a queue myself, I will always ask for what was the feedback, guys. And every time. Don't tell me the good stuff though. Don't tell me the good stuff. Because I don't want the good stuff. I want to hear, oh, that was great. It was great. No. What could be? I always look for what could be better and take that. And that's the main bit.
I bet I take a different approach because and I'll go back to what I was listening to this guy Da Vinci. He I'm gonna misquote him, I know, but he talked about he's 71 years old, and he spoke about how just go do it, just get out there and go do it. Because chances are nobody else is. And so who cares how bad it is? The fact of the matter is you're doing it. And I'm just so impressed with guys stepping into that circle and being there that I want them to be ready to come back. And sometimes I hesitate, like I don't even care about the little things and the corrections, just because they know it. I think I don't know. I'm glad there's other guys that speak up. I tend not to because I'm just worried that they walk away too critical of themselves. I know that's what guys do, but I'm glad you do. It's balance right there. But yeah,
and you get guys coming up to feedback. Yeah, but you should. But that's the whole thing. But you should do it for the improvement, for self-improvement.
And I got another goal, thankfully.
It's all right.
I'm queuing Friday, and I'm going to ask for feedback.
Flea says I've got to ask for yeah. But there's guys turn up to do their VQs, and they're ultra nervous. The guidance is as a queue, get there 15 minutes early, make sure you've got all your kit and make sure everything's ready. Be there to welcome anyone in case F&G's turn up. Fine. And I'll turn up early with them. And a couple of guys really nervous, like, what if I get it wrong? What I said, Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm by your side all the way through this. If you can't make it up, look to me and I'll help you. Otherwise, just give it a go.
Yeah.
Give it a go. No one cares. Pretty much everyone here has been through what you're going through. And
you guys do co-cues?
We don't do them regularly. We have done them. So me and Lagertop, who's the AOQ for the factory, we've done a co-Q. We called it Double Trouble, and we did a. I think it was a 1 hour session actually. We did, and I can't remember what he did. I think he did a sprints focused half an hour, and I did my typical leg conditioning and some calisthenics stuff. So we mixed it up a bit.
We do co-Qs, but I don't think we do them very well. We typically have the veteran there for like a minute to 2 minutes, and then he hands it off to the VQ, and then it just goes. It's almost like a VQ.
Okay. No, we've never done it with a VQ as the co-Q. It's always been two established Qs as to mix it up. Yeah. So if you just having a bit of fun, and it's good to mix it up as well. You get a different voice through it. We tend to save the co-Qing for things like convergences.
Ask for feedback is one of my goals. Nice. And then circle of trust. All right. Well, we are coming up on 40 minutes again. Go ahead and close this out. I think one of the rules is in life, the first draft of anything is probably not your best, and it's going to be. So this will be our first draft of the Circle of Trust podcast. Flea, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
I'd love to end. I think what I'm gonna end in the Circle of Trust. I think I'm gonna sit here and say I don't, but the fact that my 15-year-old son is over in Germany, he's with his class, he's with the foreign exchange program, so I know he's well taken care of. But still underneath the surface, it's just gonna resonate. I'm gonna get more irritated. I know that, and so I'd love for the guys to look out. So what you got? You got any Circle of Trust things going on you want to share? Anything to check on?
I
text you all the time now. So
you've got my WhatsApp number now, so that's it. Well, for us, me and the Emma are looking to get a dog, another dog. That's maybe this week's side mission, is to do that. Slightly bigger than puppy, I think. Maybe one that's maybe about 10 or 12 weeks old, I think. We lost a dog a couple of months back. About a month or so ago. So it's like, well, take a bit of time just to go through that grief curve, and then get ready for the next one. Which we always said we wanted two. It's always nice to have two dogs. So so that's what's going on really at the moment. I've got a week off work. It's my first week off, my first days off since December. So I'm just relaxing the brain and just chilling out. And so that's really what's going on at the moment, to be honest. Loads of stuff going on with F3 though. It's absolutely manic. June's absolutely crazy. We've got a 24-mile 3-mountain hike to do on Saturday. So there's about 20.
How high is a mountain in Leeds?
Well, we've actually got, it's not in Leeds, but there's an area just north of where we are, and there's a set of mountains that run all the way down the centre of England, similar to the Rockies, but smaller, I guess. That whole principle of that north to south mountain range. Let's say probably hills by your definition, but they're mountains. I'm not sure, to be honest, what the definition is, but they're very steep hills.
Me neither.
But it's 24 miles up and down, up and down, up and down. So we've got.
Amazing.
It's sort of a bit of a convergence. We've got some guys from F3, the Midlands region, coming up to Leeds. So that's a 2-hour drive for those guys, plus going up to where we're starting it. So a 3-hour drive for them to get there. I think a couple of guys from the southeast and London are coming up too. So we'll all be wearing F3 shirts and going off on a wander. I'm just toying with the idea to put a 20-pounder plate in the back. Not sure.
Drop it.
Well, you can just leave it. just
and it won't go anywhere. It won't.
Just
there.
Maybe one of those water bags or something that you can empty if it's just too much. So
that's a good idea.
So we'll see. And then loads of other personal stuff going on. I've got a 10K. So I signed up to do a 10K in June in 2 weeks. That was one of my targets when I started F3. It's like I need a goal. I need something to train to. Mm-hmm. So now it's 2 weeks away. So I've got a 10K to do. So. Aim number one is to not stop. Just do the 10K, so 6 mile. Don't stop, just keep going. And bear in mind, I said I hate running, and I will do everything I can to avoid running. So I've not been training as much as I should have been for running. And aim two is to do that 100 an hour. So if I can do it without stopping 100 an hour, I'll be super happy. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. The following week is Total Warrior. So that's like a 6 kilometer obstacle course where you've got to do, it's almost like a marine drill, I guess, where you've got the up and down, you've got the ropes, you've got the monkey bars, you've got the swimming underwater in the, yeah, it's all that type of obstacle course thing.
Spartan races over here.
Yeah, so something like that, yeah. And then the big one for us in F3 UK is June 28th. We've got our national convergence going on. So 4 regions coming together. Yeah. So we're looking for about 100 guys across the UK. We'll be definitely getting coverage of that. We'll be doing a 1 hour beatdown and a 1 hour discussion follow on from that. We're going to have each region representing cues for the beatdown and for the discussion. So we'll have discussion cues as well as beatdown cues and split it into 4. So each region will be represented in both the workout and the discussion. So that's really, yes, it's a really big thing for us, especially Leeds, as Leeds wasn't involved in the last one, nor was the Northeast, because neither region was established for the last one.
Yeah, it didn't exist, yeah.
So it was Birmingham, it was the Midlands and Southeast last time. Now we've doubled the regions that are going to it. And as I say, we're aiming for 100, but we'll see how many we get.
I love it. Well, I know I've got to see the dates on my notes here, and I'll be texting you to see how you're doing and make sure
we'll get some content.
Taking care of yourself. Tons of self-care. So just keeping up on you. All right, I'm gonna roll this intro. I guess it's not supposed to be the exit, but let's roll that.
From the F3 Nation podcast studios.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
This is the COT Podcast, connecting the packs of F3 Nation through fitness, fellowship, and faith.